bearing in mind the fact that you've been a councillor previously, why do you want to become a Suffolk County Councillor again? What do you think you offer?
I had no intention of standing again. I'll make that absolutely clear. I worked extremely hard, intensively long hours. I was getting 4 hours sleep a night for 8 years. It was that hard of work. And I was on everything that was physically possible to be on. But what I felt then is what I'm feeling now. There's so many things going on here that I'm very, very unhappy with, and councillors' performances and council's performances. They're appalling. When we were in '93, we got elected in the great swing against the Conservatives. And it was a shock to them because at this point they had run County Hall for the 104 years that it had been that level of government instated. And that's not very good English at all. But when the local government, that level of government had started, it was 104 years in 1993. The Conservatives had ruled that non-stop. Now if they're doing a good job, I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem with any government as long as they're doing a good job and listening to the people. Well, at this time in Felixstowe, they had wanted to, certain councillors had very particular designs on Hamilton Road and had wanted to pedestrianise it. And I had done my research, this was prior to 1993, and all places, little towns, had their businesses had taken quite a hit by being pedestrianised. Yes, it could look visually very attractive, but bearing in mind that Felixstowe, people think they could park in Hamilton Road, it meant they came up. People from the port, for example, lunchtime, they'd come up and do their bit of shopping, have a bit of lunch, all that sort of thing. Well, they did a trial run for 6 months because we protested, and certainly some of the shopkeepers protested. And there's hardly anybody came up to the town. They made enormous losses. So they scrapped that idea. And so what we've got today is a compromise. And when I was on highways for 8 years, I found it extraordinary. If before I became a county councillor, I could never have imagined it. But things like highways have actually got, they're sort of victim to fashion of thought. One moment you can have a roundabout when you really want traffic lights, and another time you can have traffic lights and nothing else, and it all costs an awful lot of money. I wanted traffic lights near the Tesco's junction, and I couldn't get one because that wasn't the thought at the time, but mini roundabouts were, and I got one of those on Cobbled Road and Randall Road because that was so dangerous. I still think that junction is quite dangerous. I think it probably is settling down, but it's about so much more besides. I just get so upset with the lack of, I don't want to see Felixstowe concreted over. I was born here. It was a wonderful mixture of sea, town, countryside. We've got very little actual open space. The population has grown enormously and there's not very many places to roam. When we were county councillors in the 90s, our education system was really good and it was in the top league. Now, we're third from the bottom primary and not much better secondary. I want to find out what has happened and why it has happened like that. I just don't understand it. They've spent thousands and thousands getting rid of middle schools, and we went to a full question time on full council, the last full council before the election, and all the public questions were regarding middle schools and education. It's so sort of vital part of the whole of the county, and I just want to see it back on top where it should be. And I don't understand why it's not, or what's happened, and I want to find out what's happened. I'd like to keep our fire service. We have got a fire section, or there is a fire section on the port, which is very supportive to anything happening in Felixstowe, which is just as well, because the nearest one is Ipswich, and not an easy to get out of place near Nacton roundabout. The fire chief at an open meeting had to back off, saying that you could get to Felixstowe in 10 minutes because you can't, and certainly depending on where an accident was, or what kind of accident, it could be very serious indeed. So I would really like to retain our fire station. I don't think that's going to happen, but I'd like to be in a position to fight a lot harder to keep it. even just with the retained firemen, they've coped extremely well since they have been that. And I also don't think they ever get the acknowledgement for the education that they do and fire prevention that they do and the safety that they do, and with children and schools and Suffolk Show, things like that. And I just want to do that. I'd like to see a lot more money spent filling the holes in the road. You can get onto the agency a great deal better as a councillor than you can otherwise. And filling them in with tar isn't going to take 2 minutes before it's out again. It's not doing the job properly, and some money needs to be put there. An enormous amount of money has been wasted by the county. I just want to see the money spent better. It's not, we're in very straitened times at the moment, but we still have an enormous budget, and they have wasted phenomenal sums of money over the chief executive debacle, over building offices for officers at the county, which there are a diminishing number of people. It's such a lot of waste of money, and I think you've got to, make sure you spend that money sensibly and not waste any. So that's one thing that I'd like to do. And also, I want to keep the libraries going. I was on Libraries and Heritage for 8 years. We put in for the refurbishment of Felixstowe, which happened, and it was lovely. The Conservatives took credit for that, but it was actually us that did that. And to be quite honest, it's very important. It's very important for old people, the library. It's warm, it's comfortable, and there's a lot they can just read, newspapers free, and so on and so forth. And I think that's ever so important. And also not selling off the old people's homes. I think that's very, very important. But there's so much that is, but having been out of it for a while, you've got to, get back in and find out worse, I've no doubt, an awful lot of other things that need changing, which I'd be up to do, and work very hard. I did last time. And it's just the difficulties of lack of space here. I don't want to see any more of Felixstowe concreted over. I don't know how successful this, the groins and everything are going to hold the beach, because all the easterly has taken a lot of the beach away. I was on the Essex Flood Defence Committee for 8 years, and loved the whole geomorphological processes. And it's very important that we keep our beach and try and promote tourism for the town, to be vibrant and much more proactive in actually getting things done. We've lost the spa, we don't have a blue flag. We've got we're the first south-facing bay on the east coast, and with a gently shelving beach. And as seas go, you can never take your eye or be too confident where the sea is concerned, but it is very safe swimming for a beach situation. And we should be making the most of this all the time and appreciate just what we've got and what we've got in the town, and just promote it properly, which we don't do. I love Felixstowe. I was born here. I've never lived anywhere else. I love the fact that we have the sea, we have the countryside, and we have a lovely town. I don't want to see it covered in concrete. I don't want to join the villages. I don't want to join Ipswich. I want to keep as much Grade 1 farmland around as possible. And I just want to do my best for the town again, because I did work very hard before and was successful at what I did, and I'd like to do it again because I think it needs it.